Let's all go to the lobby. Let's all go to the...
It's movie night with Bill and Lil.
Murder, cannibalism, and satanic rituals are just a few of the 1,000+ horrors that await. Here we go, House of 1,000 Corpses.
Hey Billy, how you doing? My name is Meat Canyon. I'm just gonna throw this out there. It's not like a hidden movie by any means, but I think if you're gonna if it's just a horror movie recommendation, it isn't my favorites of all time. I really don't like Rob Zombie's movies. I think Rob Zombie's movies are like super fucking grating. I think his movies are grating. It's just people screaming over each other. I don't dig that kind of shit. But I will say, I think a fun movie that if you haven't seen it, you should check out House of 1,000 Corpses. Something that feels campy and fun and really cheesy. But yeah, I'd recommend House of 1,000 Corpses. I think that's a fun one. That's like just something I watched recently where I was like, oh, that was a good time.
Hey, guess what, guys? It's episode 2. Can you believe it? For the first time ever, we're filming this episode live.
For the first time live ever.
We don't have to re-record, I can tell you that for darn sure.
Yep, never happened. Never happened.
So, I am Billy D, and if you don't know me, I do YouTube and TikTok and all that. At the official Billy D on TikTok, Billy D. If you type in Billy D interviews Corey Taylor on YouTube, that's my shtick. That's the first thing that pops up. But today we have the wonderful co-host. I couldn't ask for anyone better. Lilith for the win.
Hey there, Billy. Hi, guys, gals, non-binary pals. How are we doing tonight? We have an awesome episode for you with this movie night with Bill and Lil. Oh my gosh, I'm so excited. The person that is about to introduce this film is the one that recommended this film to us, and I cannot explain how geeked out I was when Billy told me they were going to introduce this film. So, Billy, let's go. I'm so excited.
So, I actually had him do that for a project that I ended up not doing.
Okay.
I asked him to do this for me. He did like a small thing on Cameo. Fun fact, every single cameo he did was an average of 39 seconds.
Okay.
The video he sent me was over 5 minutes.
Oh, wow. He must have really respected your stuff.
I'm hoping it was the Cream Crew name drop. That's my favorite podcast in the world. It's definitely not politically correct, so if you guys are into anything savage like that, go watch them. Flash Gets Tom and Don, who made the racist Mario, they team up with Meat Canyon. They talk about cartoons, their lives, weird stuff. It's great. Check out Cream Crew.
I think anybody that knows Meat Canyon is knows what they're in for when it comes to any of his content or what he's related to. So if you know who this individual is, you know what you're in for when it comes to his content.
Call toll free. You handsome, charming, specially marked boxes of Monster cereals. No.
Howdy, folks. You like blood, violence, freaks of nature? Well, you guys came to the right place. This is about a group of friends coming back home from an adventure they had, touring around, seeing the freaks of nature and weird attractions on the side of the road. They bump into a clown. The clown tells a scary story. Well, guess what? They're going to solve the mystery. They become Scooby Gang, and they're going to go, but wait. There's a hitchhiker. We can't leave her out in the rain. They pick her up. Flat tire. Hey, did you air up the flat tire? Nope. So they go back to her house. The family of crazies kidnap them, tortures them, and there's a rumor that there's 1,000 corpses there. Tune in. We'll find out if that's true or not. Let's go ahead and break down it scene by scene. We're gonna start at Captain Spaulding's little fried chicken gas station, amusement park. It's the whole thing. And honestly, if I saw that commercial, I'd probably go there and check it out.
Oh, 110%. I'd be there every weekend, fried chicken. No, that's literally, if a horror junkie like us basically saw that place, they would be like, I'm all about that. That is entrapment right there for people like us.
Well, it's his energy. He was so good at playing the, like, you can tell that that's not what he wants to do with his life. Like, but he's there living in the moment. Like, there's the weird old man that, like, if you remember, he's going through his, like, Playboys right in front of everybody. It's just a weird atmosphere, but it's just hilarious to hear. And
it is.
Go ahead.
Yeah, Sid Haig all the way. Sid Haig all the way. I just had to put that in before you continued.
Oh yeah. Honestly, this is one of the best kills in the movie, if you ask me, when they go in and rob the actual place. Because for a house of 1,000 corpses, guess the body count. Do you remember what the body count is?
I don't, but I remember it's very low for a house of 1,000 corpses.
Yeah, for 1,000 corpses, we only see, like, really 9 deaths on screen. And the thing is they kind of cut out a lot. A lot of it is, like,
40 minutes.
I would say fake blood, but I believe you have a fact about that.
Yes, there is a fact about that. So if you notice when people die in this film, a lot of the occasions you'll see a red light opposed to red blood. And that was Rob Zombie's way of counteracting the pressure from the production company. So he would shoot it once in regular light with traditional red blood, and then once with the red light was a little bit more grindhousey, grungy, but you couldn't pick up the blood as much. So it looked less bloody, but it gave it more of a grindy feel. So that's why you'll see a lot of red tinge on a lot of the scenes when it comes to the gory parts, because that was his way of working around the MPAA, the rating board, and the production company at the time.
I'm not going to go too much into this because there's only one really gory part, and that's when they were being robbed. The one weird guy, old man, is like, "Hey, you're the weird guy that works at the hardware department." And he's like, "No, I'm not. No, I'm not." And he's crying, and he drops his mask. So the gore scene that comes out, I know, is when that big head, and, like, I see him on Rob Zombie's tours. He comes out of nowhere and shoots him. And the thing is they kind of hover over the effect for a minute. That's the only time you actually truly see something like that go down. If you remember The Cop, if you remember Fish Boy, if you remember a bunch of these other ones, it's not that demented. And then on top of that, the red light and blue light scenes and like I said, we're going to kind of skip a little ahead, but we're not going to go into much detail. When they get down to the cemetery part, they meet Dr. Satan. The other gory effect was the working on the brain, her friend's brain.
Yeah,
but it's under a red light. You can't really tell.
It's a couple different filters, and that was their way around getting the rating to a rated R. Because God forbid we see it in full color, and that changes their mind somehow. Like, it's so stupid to me. It's so stupid.
But you know what else is stupid? So that happens, the kids pull up, and what was the hardest scene in making this movie? I think you told me this.
It's so funny to me. So the hardest scene to pull off, the hardest shot, was them literally when the camera is pointed down at a mop bucket full of blood after they kill the 2 robbers. They said that was the hardest shot to pull off in the whole entire movie.
Just
when
mopping
you see this, just mopping it up, and I'm like, out of all the shots in the movie and all the creative things they got away with, this is the hardest thing they freaking did. You know what I mean?
Honestly, so the effects for the amusement park I thought would have been hard. They were in the pouring ass cold rain. I thought that would have been hard. And on top of that, this is on the Universal backlot. So you might notice a few things in this movie, like the Munsters' house is down the street in opening shots, and they were actually working in the Leave It to Beaver house. But when
also,
they were
best little whorehouse in Texas house.
Yeah. When they were actually filming on location, the house of the 1,000 corpses, where they were inside the house, apparently the Jaws ride is so loud and so close that it would mess up shots for this movie. And this is Rob Zombie's first time, and let's rank best directors of all time: Ridley Scott, James Cameron, and then we got Rob Zombie. That's natural. Everybody knows this. I'm just fucking with you. I know.
Oh, God, you're gonna get so much hate for that comment. I mean, I don't disagree with you to an extent, but oof, that's a loaded comment right there.
So I love Rob Zombie. I don't know how you guys would rank him, but he's kind of high. I haven't sat down and thought about my directors. Like, I'm a big fan of directors. I have actually Rob right here, John Carpenter right here, and Andrew Bowser for the new Onyx the Fortuitous movie coming to theaters this fall. I had to plug it.
Go see it.
Somebody you know, maybe me, is name dropped in the film. It might be important, it might not. So we'll see this summer. But anyways, so I like to listen to commentary, especially Rob's, because when he does decisions, it's kind of different than what I would expect him to be. And Meat Canyon at the beginning of this whole ordeal is going to talk about how Rob Zombie is a redneck, loud, yell over each other type of director. You know what's sad?
What's that?
If you live in Indiana, you guys probably know Mars Hill, and Mars Hill is the type of people that you would see in Rob Zombie's movies. And I'm across the other side of the train tracks. I'm in the Decatur, closer to Mooresville area when I was growing up, and they weren't like that to an extent, but when you go to school, you hear these family situations. These movies kind of felt real, especially in the location I was at. It definitely wasn't like the Brady Bunch. It the dad that goes and would, he was a former sheriff. He would go and save the kid, and they kind of had a Brady Bunchy vibe.
They did. It's a very holistic vibe within a non-holistic environment. You know what I mean?
It's showing the vice to the versa, and you actually get it a lot with the kids. So the kids with the last we didn't film this, but if we did, I kept saying Chadwick Boseman when it was actually Chris Hardwick. I don't know why I confused the two, but I didn't, because this is the first time. Chris Hardwick screaming Dr. Satan, being all loud and rambunctious. Yes. He was the uplifting side for the first few moments for me with the Rainn Wilson straight guy. It was kind of like watching Abbott and Costello. The girls that were with them were kind of prissy. I think you have a few things to say about them. Just a few. Oh God, the one girl annoys the living hell out of me. She really is the epitome of I can't wait until you die in a horror film. From the moment they wake her up in the car, from the moment she dies, and she gets off the easiest. Billy, please, if you remember her name, remind me her name. No. I was I'm thinking in the future. I don't remember her name, honestly. So I think the way Rob Zombie designed these characters, where you're not supposed to be in love with these protagonists, you're just here to see their downfall. And did you get any feeling of hope from these characters?
I mean, the only semblance of hope was with our final heroine that gets till the end. But even at the same time, I didn't foresee them getting far in this situation. They literally got themselves into this situation multiple times, because the clown, aka Captain Spaulding, he warns them. He says to Jerry, "You do not want to go down this road, man. This road leads to not good things." And Jerry will not take his advice, and he says, "Okay, it's on you, my friend." You remember all the villains' names, though, like Baby, Otis, Spaulding, Rufus, Tiny, Mama Firefly. It's the whole cast is great. So this is what I do with these protagonists. We got Rainn Wilson, or Dwight from The Office. I usually just call him Dwight. I'm sorry, you have to, because it's so crazy seeing him in a serious role before he was known in The Office. you know, because now I see him as Dwight, and when you see him in the serious role, he does really good, in my opinion. It's just, I'm not used to seeing him as a serious character, but go ahead.
Hardwick, I'm used to him doing The Talking Dead. If you guys ever watch The Walking Dead, I used to watch that religiously as a kid, and then they would do The Talking Dead afterwards, and he was the host of that. So those are the ones I'm most familiar with. The two women after that, I got the bitchy girlfriend that is somewhat reasonable, and I would call
those are literally the only two I don't know their names.
and the other one is Mrs. Nobody. The Mrs. Nobody is what?
Okay.
What were you saying?
Okay, I was about to say, are you coming for Mother Firefly? Because please say that's not Mrs. Nobody.
No,
Okay,
Mrs. Mo. There's two girls. See,
Oh,
you even forgot the other girl. You're like, you're like,
I was
who's the
speaking
other
on
one?
the two girls. I said those are the two names that I forget. There's
So
the two girls.
we're gonna call
yes.
one Mrs. Nobody and the other one Bitch Face.
Bitch face. There we go. Thank you. I will take it any day.
Easy
Bitch
peasy.
face is what she is. Yes.
So we got to White, Mr. Hardwick driving down the road. They pick up Baby. And what are your thoughts about Baby?
Oh, she is my spirit animal. If I could be anybody in film, it would be Baby. I freaking love Baby. I love her character. I love her craziness. I love her laugh. I love how she gives zero fucks about anything, you know. I love the character of Baby. Is she crazy? Is she insane? Is she a person you want to be? No, but I'm just saying in a sense, she is my spirit animal.
So, Sherry does decent in some films of his. There's some like parts that I wish she didn't take, but her as Baby is on another level. I feel like
Yes.
the consistency of these movies, they kind of go on a decline, but Baby is the only steady thing that is making these movies work. And her laugh, the creepy chuckle, a lot of people don't like it.
Iconic. It's iconic, though. I'm sorry. You can like it or not like it, but it's iconic. For that laugh not being her actual laugh, and I've seen interviews where people have asked her, where has this laugh come from? And she's like, I don't know, I just do it. I mean, like, that just... Because House of a Thousand was her first acting gig. She was a model previous to this, and that's still what she is a model.
Everybody.
You know?
Lilith has the greatest impression of that laugh. Go ahead and show everybody that laugh.
Billy, I hate you so much right now.
She was doing it the whole time before we were even starting. She was practicing. So go ahead.
Setting me up.
I don't want to put you on the spot, but here we are. And I don't want to let down our fans.
I hate you, Billy. Okay, you ready? Give me about 30 seconds and I'll do it. Give me 30 seconds. I got to warm up
We
my
don't
throat.
have 30 seconds. The bomb's about to go off. You have to do it now.
I don't know it's going to pull up YouTube, okay?
3, 2. We're dead. Way to go.
I can't. I'm sorry. That was as good as I could get. I'm sorry.
I like it. Okay.
I'm dead. I have been fired from every film I've ever had attempted to be in.
So good. Yeah,
Oh my
this was
God.
the first time I ever seen her do that. I was just kidding. I can't believe she did it.
Yeah. You think I was doing? No, this little mofo set me up. Little Mr. Troll over here. Oh, nobody's seen my bubble gun yet. I'm coming at you with the bubble gun. Yep.
It took a minute. Anyways,
It takes forever and it sounds so loud. I'm so sorry. Anyway, go ahead.
So they pick her up. They get a flat tire mysteriously, but we all know it was her family that popped the tire.
Yes.
So he's like, hey, we'll walk in the rain. We'll go back to their house, get her brother. And the whole time she's like hitting on him. You get a surprise appearance of her ass crack in there. It's insane.
Yes.
It's kind of ridiculous with the way they were setting this up. And the biggest jump scare in the movie comes in this like format. So there's not a lot of jump scares in this movie, I would say. But you get this big behemoth of the man, and I'm not talking about tiny. This guy looks like a bear. He starts banging on the thing. Oh, I banged it so hard it
the
switched everything up.
Beast Boy is what I call him because he's always wearing a fur.
Yeah,
Because he's like a beast. He's a freaking bear.
He is what you call in San Francisco a bear. Just kidding.
I mean, I wouldn't say no if he walked up to me. That's all I'm saying.
you guys see the thumbnail. You see whose arm is around.
Billy has low crotch. Billy has low crotch. No, just playing.
Oh, he terrifies me. It's one of those prison.
Yes,
I would call it a prison situation where, like, if, like,
If you know the thumbnail and you just heard what he said, that's just
like I'm stuck. I don't want to go in the hole with Dr. Satan. So, yeah.
I'm just gonna stand here and smile. And me, I'm poking my head out behind baby.
So
I love it.
So they get the gang back and they start having a Halloween feast. And at the Halloween feast, I would say we have third grade art by wearing these masks. And
yes, the paper mache mask.
this is where Hardwick gets on my nerves. Go ahead.
Okay. I just did want to mention something that I think the strangers might have been inspired by this film with one of their masks. Because if you notice, one of the masks that they put on is almost identical to one of the killers in the Strangers films. I picked up on that this most recent watch through. I don't know if it was a direct correlation or it was they were going with the same inspiration of what it was based on, but it was definitely like almost exactly the same. I have another fun little quip I want to do about this table scene, but go ahead, Billy.
No, you first.
Oh God, yeah, you play with that tongue, Billy. You tongue that tongue, Billy. Yeah.
I'll pretend it's Grandpa. I'm just...
Oh my God. Anyway, so I never really correlated this before until we decided to do this episode, but right before, or right after the dinner scene, or as the dinner scene is happening, Otis brings down a jar full with a fetus in it, essentially.
Yeah.
And the mother is overjoyed, like little something or other is what she says. And I correlated because right after or right before, I can't remember which it happens, baby's getting ready for the show that happens after the Halloween bash. And there's two cheerleaders in her bed, one of which is dead. And the almost direct quote is, "Give me a B, give me an A, give me a B, give me a Y. What's that smell? What's that? Baby." So I'm assuming that was them correlating the fact that that was the dead cheerleader's baby that was brought to dinner. This is theory. This is theory, okay? This is not fact, but I feel like that kind of correlated with me.
So
but go ahead, Billy.
This is the first time you're seeing Otis too.
Yes.
That's wrong.
Oh,
That's
Bill
false.
Moseley.
That's false. You see him
Okay.
two other times. You see him as Ed Gein in the flashback scenes of the
You
museum.
set me up.
I know. And you also see him as a reporter in one of the news things. And
Yes,
that's
you
not
do.
the only cameos. You get Rob Zombie as the assistant to, what was it, Dr. Wolfie? It was one of those weird, Wolfenstein.
Yeah, like
there you
old
go.
school, like horror show style character.
So there's a lot of cameos here and there. In fact, I don't know if
there's so many faces.
there's a flashback scene that happens, and you get to see Sherry Moon with a baby carriage walking, and a lot of people miss that one. So
Yes. She is. Yeah. I believe she's in black hair and a bonnet, and she comes right across the screen. It's in a transition shot when she goes into Captain Spaulding's phone booth and calls her father. Which, fun fact about the phone booth, there is an actual live missing poster for a dog head that they found in New York City, which is an actual poster that they found. It's not just some random missing dog head poster. It's an actual missing dog head poster.
Look at us. If you guys watch like this episode compared to last episode and then future episodes, we did our homework. So here at Bill and Lil Movie Night, we give you the facts.
All the facts, all the time. We don't have to wait a second to read our notes any of the time. Jeez, see? We're just on it. We know everything all the time.
And we only record once. This is definitely not a re-recording.
I have nothing to say. I am not throwing anybody under the bus.
Jeez. So this movie's so much fun. You get the weird dinner table scene, and you get to see Hardwick kind of like screwing with Mama Firefly, Mama Firefly, so great in this film, by the way. We're going to get to more
Yes.
scenes with her, but the thing is we're going to jump into the talent show portion with Grandpa telling all the dirty jokes and just yelling into the microphone.
Yes.
And then,
yes.
honestly, this was TikTok before TikTok was a thing. Baby lip singing the Betty Boop song.
Yes, I mean, we all on TikTok know how hard it is to lip sync, and she killed that scene in my opinion. I mean, I'm biased when it comes to Baby. She's my spirit animal, so go ahead.
This is kind of where we fall on two different sides. So she's like hitting on the audience, and like with Dwight's characters, for some reason she's attracted to that guy, and bitch face is getting all mean, is like sassy. She doesn't have to put her hands on her.
Well, see, that's the thing. Like, the other girl's like not satisfied with it, and she yells at her man for it essentially, and that's what I would do in this situation because it's not Baby's fault. You know, it's not Baby's fault that he's like all about it, but you know,
Baby is hardcore going after him, and like. So, okay, let's just say you're in Vegas.
If I was in that situation, I get it. I'd probably have the same reaction. As I said, I am biased. Baby is my boo.
This is like a rough scenario, rough case, and like I don't agree with what she did, but honestly, there's no way out. This was destined to happen, and it was kind of planned. You don't want to know how I know? Everybody's having a good old time watching Baby and Grandpa doing their talents. Where's Otis and Rufus at?
Yep, they're all prepping right at the gate.
Yeah, they're scarecrows just waiting in the pouring rain. Do you know how freezing this is? And what if commitment? Yeah, what if this took longer? Like, imagine like the conversation they were having. Like, man, when are these guys getting there? Like, I couldn't take this seriously. Like, I would be joking the whole time.
Oh, same though. But see, the thing is, too, if you look at the time frame, because Mother Firefly says it's going to be a couple hours before they get their car back. So based on the conversation we first had with the family when Mother Firefly, Karen Black, epic Scream Queen, who we all know her name from a bunch of different horror goodies. We have that, and then we have the scene at the dinner table, and then after that we go to the party. So that, even though it's like in the span of a few minutes, that could have been a couple hours right there. You know, because they kind of like hint at it. It's going to be a couple hours until the car's done. But then, you know, the whole the thing happens with Baby and Bitch Face, and then he busts through the door. The car's done. You know, so maybe that could have like sped things up a little bit. Just that thing right there. But hey, you know, it's all open for interpretation, I suppose.
So, yeah, we're pretty much at the middle of the movie. This is where things rapidly go. And I call them the basement scenes, where they take a Super 8 film and they start recording these weird, like, brick house scenes. Baby's dancing, Otis is there, and something's going on with Dwight. You don't know what's going on. The thing is the reason why that's so grainy and like that is they basically ran out of money, and the movie wasn't quite done. They were missing some parts. So to add the filler, they did it at Rob Zombie's basement, like in the off hours. Yeah. And it gives the movie kind of like a 70s vibe. I enjoyed it a lot more. This grindhouse movie.
I was just about to say that grindhouse vibe that we love so much. A lot of us love so much. It really, and there was a lot of that film that was cut from the original cut, especially with Baby's narcophilia tendencies. I may have mispronounced that word. Excuse me, I'm sorry. My tongue does not like me. Or necrophilia tendencies. There we go. There was a lot more with that. There was some severe scenes that happened in that grungy transition period that he filmed in the basement, which how cool is it to have a basement full of Rob Zombie, Sherry Moon Zombie, Bill Moseley, and all these actors just chilling and probably like having a great time as they're filming this shit. Can you imagine that room and how freaking amazing it would have been as an experience just to be there?
Honestly, this is probably one of my favorite movies of all time. I thankfully got to meet Sid Haig right before he died, and
I'm so jealous.
the impact of this movie, like when they go and did these conventions, usually Bill goes too, and they didn't dress up as the Devil's Rejects version of these characters. They always dressed up as House of 1,000 characters, and
Yes.
I think I have a better time with this movie than the others. It's definitely a more fun, campy, slapsticky type of movie.
I agree. I feel like the style that everybody loves from this film that Rob used is the style he tries to run away from because he feels like it's a little unpolished. But at the end of the day, I think the reason why he gets so much hate in his later movies is because this is kind of what we expect from him. With that grindhouse, like old, like 70s grungy style. And he still puts that in his films, but he tries to be a little bit more clean about it. And sometimes that's not always the best thing. Don't get me wrong. I love him as a filmmaker. Not every single one of his films is my favorite, but I love 31 personally. I love that movie. I can watch that movie over and over again. A lot of people don't like that film. So I get that. I just think that this is the antithesis of what he was trying to do, I think, and he ran away from it so hard because he ran into so many brick walls. I think his quote, I believe, was that he sees flaw after flaw after flaw with this film, though he acknowledges that it does have a cult following, and I feel like even though he did get his director's cut screened once in Argentina Film Fest, and it does exist.
Damn Argentinians, lucky
Dang Argentinians. They got at least 40 minutes added into the film, and that's how we know like the breakdown of what was in it because of that screening. But the thing is, they literally just released a 20-year anniversary of this film. If you have the original cut, why not release it? We're dying to see it here, people. You know, that's the only thing, because the biggest complaint that I get from people from this film is that for House of 1,000 Corpses, there was not that much blood, you know. That was all due to the ratings board and the production company interference.
Honestly, there's definitely way less than 1,000 bodies I seen. I'm not being picky, but false advertising.
I think they try to make up for it, like with that ending scene with the hallway of the bodies, like trying to insist that it's gone on for a long time. But at the same time, for House of 1,000, it like with the build up and the insanely good performances and this insane family, like even though it starts to go there with the kill, it kind of like stops before it like goes as hardcore as it could sometimes.
It's the montage for me. So this next scene is where we're going on a different track. It feels like you just got done with one cool coaster. The first half is done. Let's go to the second half, and they're kind of speeding along a few things. So Bill Moseley gives a great monologue, probably one of the best monologues in horror history. I
did it on TikTok.
He's just rambling hard. And the thing is, you're seeing these cuts of scenes of Bill Moseley and Rainn Wilson, and I feel like you're just missing that portion. I kind of wanted to see more, but you get Fish Boy, and then she starts screaming in terror. The thing is, all of them they got tortured throughout that small little bit, and like Hardwick gets scalped, and it just everything seems kind of going too quick, and it's because
it goes so fast. It does, because
it's going to somewhere, and it's like missing the beats of what we came to this movie for.
It is, and I think I really do truly believe that's why Rob doesn't like it as much as I really think that he could have, because he just went through so much hell trying to get his actual vision out there, and this is just cut up to bits. But also why I don't agree why he won't push for the director's cut. If that's his original view, you know, like I wish he would push for that to be released, which having the 20th anniversary released, I don't feel like we're ever going to get it. Unless it leaks online, I don't think we're ever going to get it.
Say what you want about Rob Zombie, but his movie, this movie in particular, he has style. He's a musician. He's a showsman.
Oh my God.
And this is kind of like he did his own music videos, and a lot of that is seeping through here. So I can forgive the montage scene because of how beautifully transitioned it was. And let's do the Chris Hardwick scene one more time. The Betsy Davis line.
Yes. Okay, so Baby, when she is scalping Jerry, she gives him one last chance before she scalps him. And she basically says, you get one more chance. What is my favorite classic movie star? And he says Marilyn Monroe, which I think most people would probably say if they look at Baby. And she says, haha, Betty Davis. And she starts going at his scalp. Fun fact, Betty Davis starred in Burnt Offerings with Karen Black, whom plays Mother Firefly. So I think it was kind of a nudge to Burnt Offerings, because that is another classic horror film that is very well known in the horror community. I've heard that it is one of Stephen King's favorites as well. At least when he was growing up, it was one of his favorites. So it was pretty cool. I think that was a little subtle hint to, hey, Karen Black is a cool person, and she's connected to Betty Davis, you know.
So let's take a time out from the Firefly family. I mean, we're having such a great time with them, but there's a whole other aspect going on. And this movie is multi-layered. If you watch the beginning and read the reports are going through, and they're trying to find these cheerleaders. The cheerleaders are missing. There's like a lower story that is fitting into this bigger story. And then, so the police are tied up with that. Well, a former sheriff is like, hey, my kids are missing and they are around this location. They go to Spalding's, and honestly, Sid Haig gives a memorable performance for as little screen time as he did get in this. And I mean, he steals the show, honestly.
He like literally, like, other than Otis and Baby, he is the most iconic character, or even besides Otis and Baby. I think he truly is the most iconic character out of this franchise for me, because when you think of House of a Thousand Corpses, you think of Devil's Rejects. The first thing that goes on your mind is Sid Haig and his performance as Captain Spaulding, in my opinion, that or Baby, or Bill Moseley. And it's just, Bill Moseley had a lot of screen time. Baby had a lot of screen time. Captain Spaulding did not have a lot of screen time, but he is just as if not more as memorable as the other characters in this film. Also, a fun little tidbit, when the cops are going into, are we ready to get into that part where the cops are busting in yet?
Not yet. They find the body in the trunk. This is where you're introduced to the two cops, and honestly, they have really good performances. Frank Houston, but played by William Bassett, and then the other one is my favorite, Walton Goggins. He's Officer Steve Nash.
Yes, and he's got a pretty familiar face now.
Yeah, he's on CBS shows. I remember he popped up in The Big Bang Theory, which I did play in the trailer for you. He's great. He's great in this, and honestly, if I did get a glimmer of hope, it was with that character, and I feel like him trying to prove himself. He had somewhere he needed to prove himself, and this was going to be the case. So now I think we can arrive at the Firefly house.
Okay, let's arrive at the Firefly house. Fly house, shall we?
So let's start it off where the visuals. Like, this is another. This is another Easter egg on top of everything. Rob Zombie is foreshadowing what he's doing in the future and is proclaiming what he did in the past. Arguably one of his biggest hits is Dragula, and he's having Grandpa and Otis watch the Dragula episode of The Munsters. And
on TV.
Eventually he's going to take the Munsters franchise. Honestly, I want him to do a sequel. I think he announced he will never do a sequel.
Well, it was the same thing that happened with this film. The production company didn't allow him to make it the way he wanted it to. You know, he wanted to make it in black and white. They said no. That's why I think he went so crazy with the lighting, because he lit it like it was a black and white film. And if you watch it in black and white, it actually looks really excellent. Just fun fact. But go ahead.
I do think it does change the vibe. I do have a retrospective up on my normal YouTube channel. Go check that out. Honestly, it's kind of trash because this is the first time I ever did a retrospective. And if I went back and redid it, it would have been 1,000 times different. But anyways, police show up. They have to go and get in position. Mama Firefly is distracting the main sheriff, police officer.
Yes.
While
I love Karen Black at that. Like that door scene with Karen Black, how she's just like, she can have the nasty teeth, but she's still like, she's got that like that sexuality that can really like hypnotize you and just like, okay, I'll let you in. I love that scene.
Well, Officer Niche, I forget how you pronounce it. It's been a while since I've seen this movie. Him and the dad are going and looking for the daughter, looking for clues around the property, and the flashbacks for me when he sees his girl and they're going back and
I got
forth.
mad at him for bolting. I'm sorry. I still mad at him for bolting.
I mean,
you literally go through all this to find your daughter.
Okay.
And you don't even try to undo her cuffs?
Is he Superman? Is he going to go up and break the cuffs? If anything, he's a man that was on the force for years. He has 2 guys with him. What is he going to do? He's probably going to go back to the car, report it in, get all the cars there, kind of like at the beginning of Devil's Rejects.
I get it.
But he's if anything, he's bolting to do something to make it more beneficial. He's just one man.
I know.
But we all know how that works out.
Bit of crap. I just give him a little bit of crap. I mean, technically, if that was my daughter, I'd be like ripping those fucking chains off of her wrists. But that's just me. But I get it. Your theory makes more sense. He's running to go get back up. I get it. I understand that.
So that doesn't work out. You see how his comeuppance happen.
Yes. Boom, boom, out went the lights.
But the wait for it scene, like you're just watching, it's silent, like there's no more music.
Top on his knees, gun to the head.
Yep. And you're like, wait for it. Mm-hmm. Wait for it. And honestly, acting in that, and you're just waiting and waiting and waiting and waiting.
Yes.
And waiting.
And fun fact for Billy, because I know Billy loves Texas 2, just like I love the original Texas 2. The gun that was used in that scene by Otis is the same style gun he uses in Texas 2.
That's crazy.
I thought you would enjoy that.
That is really fact. That's a good fact right there. In fact, Bill Moseley, the way he got the job is Rob loved the performance he gave as Chop Top in Texas Chainsaw. Stopped him at like an award ceremony, talked to him about this new project, and bada bing, bada boom, he has this Bill Moseley-esque type role, and it's great. I loved it.
I mean, he is Otis, and Otis is him. That's why I would always love to meet him, but he terrifies me, because, like, Bill Moseley is Bill Moseley, and his characters are just him, you know?
Speaking of Texas Chainsaw, probably the best Leatherface style mask is implemented here, and he's wearing it. And I can't be more disgusted.
Oh my god! Like it's like, you know exactly whose face that is. Like, you don't, like, you know. And they don't even have to do like side by sides. They do some comparison shots next to the But the thing is, you don't have to. You see the face, you know who that is, and it's just sickening. Yes. Going into the scene where they're tied up as rabbits, it's about to be like the ritual for Halloween. Yeah, that scene when he just comes down. Who's your dad? You know, at Mother Firefly. Well, I love it. I love it. It's so disturbing and so effective, and the effects are really good.
The effects are great, and the quotes here are probably peak. The run rabbit.
Oh my god, that is one of my favorite, to this day, one of my favorite lines out of any horror movie is run rabbit, run rabbit, run. The soundtrack to this film, I have to say, to this day, I listen to this soundtrack in my car because I love the the soundtrack to this film because they add clips of the. What do we skip?
We skipped probably the best song, in my opinion, where they, yeah, the ba da 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 da, and like we get another surprise appearance of Baby's booty, and it's like,
yes, you do. That pussy licker scene is one of my favorites because she's just having fun with that guy behind the desk.
She's like, hey, booger. He's like,
Goober, yeah.
He's like, they just messed up my name tag. It's not really Goober. It's
yeah.
That's
and she's just like, yeah, that's nice, Goober.
Like the scene wasn't needed, but it just added a little flavor for something that was kind of feeling like bleak and hopeless. It was So this movie
touching on that. Go ahead. No, just touching on that because that scene has like very red lighting, different neon color. This film does color so well, in my opinion. Like the colors that are used, the cinematography, like it is so nice to look at. With having it said that, like, this film is the closest that I have ever seen that has the feel of the original Texas Chainsaw Massacre to me. No house, no family, no area in a horror movie has ever made me feel like the original Texas Chainsaw Massacre more than this film has. You know, and for years I bought into the hate hype with this film, even though I watched it 50,000 times on VHS, and then I rewatched it for this episode that we were doing, and I was like, I forgot how much I love this film and how much like cool stuff. You know, I'm not a huge fan of like the strobe cuts. I'm not a fan of strobe cuts in any thing, but the colors that are used, especially like in the dream sequences with the Dr. Satan and everything, I love it. I love it. It's like an acid trip sometimes.
So we're getting there. The last thing I want to say before we get down to the hole of hell is the boombox that they're carrying with is I believe it was an old Jekyll and Hyde movie. Mr. Crawley movie.
You're talking about the poem that's playing.
Where it was like,
it was from the 1920s.
About being buried alive slowly, too.
Yeah.
It's scary.
And
and unsettling.
That is terrifying. Can you imagine being in that coffin just being lowered down, like not knowing if you're just being buried alive or what's happening? You just know you're screwed. Like, that's the most terrifying thing. And then you have the Rud Rabbit Run scene where Bitchface gets free and gets her up, like in that graveyard scene. Are we good to go into like that whole graveyard scene with the Run Rabbit Run? Okay, so I just, that whole little poem she does while she's in the graveyard and you don't know where baby is and like the whispers coming from everywhere. I really like that scene because it kind of like adds to. Because you see, like, the graves there, and obviously they're the ones that put the graves there. So I guess it kind of adds to the body count in a way, but that's not really why I'm bringing it up. I'm bringing it up just because I love how, like, that scene sounded, it looked, the way it was colored. Though I wish Bitchface had a worse death, because she gets it off the least out of this film, in my opinion. Because she just gets stabbed to death in the chest. And all the rest of them, they get, like, brutalized, you know. But going back to getting down in that pit with Otis and everything, and I feel like in the later films they lost that ritualistic feel that the family had.
It feels like they were trying to capture the realistic vibe of real killers, and that wasn't like, you went from 80s slasher to 90s grunge, and you're doing it in a span of 2003 to
it was 2003.
2007.
They filmed it in 2000. It was released in 2003. It took 3 years to release.
And then the sequel kind of gave it the 90s vibe, is what I'm trying to say. Like, it felt like they were trying to do a Silence of a Lamb type of movie. And
I gotcha.
Like, that's probably why they get highly praised for it, because it's realistic and grounded compared to the ultra slasher campy vibe that we get from this one.
Right, and see, the people that don't like this one tend to like the other ones, and vice versa, you know. But I think they're all thoroughly good films. Hopefully, we'll do some more episodes so we can get into The Devil's Rejects and Three from Hell, because I would love to discuss that with you
one day.
But like that whole scene, just going to when they're getting put in the ground, to where they're like coming out, and Mama Firefly and Baby are in like the witchy women outfits, and they're just like going down in that smoke and the blue and the dun, dun in the background. I just love that whole like ritualistic scene of them getting put into the ground. It's just a beautiful scene.
That's all fine and dandy. I enjoyed the scenery, but going down to the pits and seeing Dr. Satan and his assistant.
Oh.
Does his assistant seem kind of familiar to you?
Yes, he does, and I did not realize this, Mr. Billy D. So if you pay attention, guys, gals, non-binary pals, Tiny's father is mentioned, and Tiny's father is mentioned to have burned him almost practically alive and snapped one day, and then I always assumed that he just ran off or he was murdered. If you pay attention to that scene when Tiny's being burned as a child, and you look at what their father looks like, and then you look at Dr. Satan's assistant, his tank, quote unquote, they look identical. So I'm assuming that Tiny's father is not dead. He did not run away. He's just hanging out with Dr. Satan, and he said, F the family, I'm down here hanging out with Dr. Satan, and I'll just be his. Or they could have just thrown him down the hole and been like, hey, you're Dr. Satan's now, and he became his tank. So I feel like they're the same character.
Not to be a conspiracy theorist, but I do believe they did say that that is a fact in the extended cut. There was other characters, especially in the museum that was cut, that was supposed to pop up.
You want to bring up other characters, do you, Billy? Would you like to explain to me the relevance of Skunk Ape, please?
So
please explain the relevance. I know he was supposed to have more, but come on.
That was only relevant in the extended cut. Like,
yes,
you hear about it, but it's not. It's like, for all sakes and arguments, I until I see it, I don't know.
Like, literally, like, that's the only thing in this film. Like, there's a lot of stuff in this film that could be questioned, but that is literally the only thing I question, like, without the extra scenes, is, like, what is the relevance of Skunk Ape? If you don't know what I'm referencing, guys, gals, non-binary pals, the dream sequence she has in, like, that acid-colored sequence, she sees Dr. Satan's grave, and in between that, there's a couple, and she mentions how she's been sexually assaulted by a skunk ape, and her husband's like, I'm gonna kill that goddamn ape. So that's what I'm talking about here. Go ahead, Billy.
Yeah, so I'm happy we brought up the assistant as the dad. He was scary as heck. The Dr. Satan sound effects was scary. He's kind of like a puppet kind of being hung and still doing his like weird scientific projects.
I wish we got so much more of Dr. Satan just for his look. Like, as you said, he's just, like, hung up with, like, the metal, and he's just, like, old and decrepit, but he's still doing his thing, and he's just, like, he thinks he's the second coming from God, just working on people's brains, trying to make a new freaking race of, like, better people or whatever. And he's just, like, this... I wish we got more of Dr. Satan. Underneath the ground, once they get there, like... It's so scary, like, from the time... Oh, fun fact, when she gets, when Jerry gets ripped out of the coffin, and she's left alone by herself, you see somebody come up in a bunny outfit, and she assumes it's Jerry. When Rob Zombie's mother first saw this film, she thought it was him in that bunny suit doing that cameo. And he had to be like, Mom, no, that's not me.
Well, there's so many cameos. Like his brother Spider, that is Power, like in the band Power.
Powerman 5000, yeah.
He has a cameo in this movie. So many great things came out of this movie. Speaking of cameos, have you heard of the Haunted World of El Super Beasto?
I've heard of it. I've never seen it.
I think it's Rob Zombie's only animated film.
Okay.
And I got this at a super young age, and I shouldn't. It had so many boobs and vulgar stuff.
I mean, my first horror movie was Demon Knight, and I was like a toddler age, so I get it. I get it.
A lot of great actors and actresses, voice actors, all show up in this film, but you do get Otis and you do get Captain Spaulding that pops up in this. And I believe, I could be wrong, I'm looking at the cast right
Done
now.
before or after House of a Thousand, do you know?
This was done after House of a Thousand Corpses. But
okay.
I also believe Dr. Satan pops up in this. I haven't
I need to see this.
I haven't watched this movie in a while, so I could be wrong with that one. But I know.
Billy's sending me the link. I will confirm it for you guys.
I know Captain Spaulding's in it. But speaking of Captain Spaulding, we finally get a glimmer of hope in this movie.
Yes, we do get a glimmer of hope.
And
in this
arguably,
before we jump to that, I just want to do one more fun little fact before we jump. It's right before that scene happens.
Go for it.
When she's still stuck underneath, and Tiny's dad, I'm gonna call him, is after her trying to get her with the axe. The actor playing that role already had bad vision. Over top of that, what he was wearing, he could barely see out of. And part 3, and scariest, that axe was not fake. So they assumed this actress would literally just get out of the way when they were using a real axe. Fun fact. Thankfully, she did get out of the way, and she did not get hurt. But that is a real axe busting that door down in that scene. Anyway, going to our little, oh, it's going to be okay moment, as you were talking about, Billy.
This is where the rumors come in, where Rob Zombie didn't have a good enough budget to finish the ending, so he tried to make a, I wouldn't say crappy ending, because I like the ending decent enough.
I don't find it as believable as what he could have done.
Seriously, I changed the car, and I feel like we have something good, because she's walking to the car. How do you not see Otis like in a fetal
in
position?
The back.
Yeah, it's kind of weird.
And she puts her head back, and he would be right in her peripheral vision.
Yeah,
so it's a stretch. I mean, she's exhausted, so we can get away with it maybe that way. But
it adds to the cheesiness. It adds to the campiness, and it kind of feels like something that would come from like a 70s, 80s slasher. Like, did they really end it like that? Okay, that's hilarious. But the thing is that cheese is there. But you hear the gargling and gurgling and the razors and the tools, and it doesn't really play music, and you're like listening to it, you're waiting for the music, and you're like, this sounds awful. It sounds terrifying. I don't want to be there.
No, and when she wakes up in his chair, and it's just that is one of the most terrifying things, and that's why it says the end with a question mark, because they had a couple different endings for this film, and they never knew if this was going to be the end of the franchise because he was fighting so hard with everybody involved with it, except for the actors that were so 100% down for this, and you could tell that they were 100% committed. I would have liked to seen a different ending, the original ending, because I'm not sure how it would have went. Though I will say I like that they did correlate how Captain Spaulding is part of the family, because the only hint that you get that Captain Spaulding is a part of the family, or he's along with this ride with these crazies, is the chickens at their house that you see for 2 seconds when the cops get there. And I only correlated at this most recent time because he has a gas station that sells fried chicken.
And I would have never guessed that. That could be a possibility. I completely agree. I like that.
It's just a theory.
I like that theory.
Yes.
So we're about to get into favorite parts of the movie. We already talked about best effects. We knocked that out. What was your probably favorite scene?
I think my favorite scene, truly, is that scene when it's either the "Who's Your Daddy" scene when he's coming down in her father's skin and they're hanging up as bunnies, because it's so effective and it really is the epitome of what this family's about, or the scene where they're burying them underground with the Run Rabbit Run. I love the colors. I love the feel of that scene. I love the ritualisticness of it. But yeah, those would be my 2 contenders for.
I love it all. I like it. This is a good movie in my opinion. If I had to pick a scene, it's probably the opening gas station scene, or it's probably the talent show, because I did have fun with the effects and the acting in the talent show.
Yes. And the grindhouseness cutting of it was really fun. I did realize just rewatching this again today, because I did rewatch it again today. right in the beginning of the movie. I never understood the relevance of the cutscene with the one black guy, like with all the god and devil signs behind him in the desert. You know what I'm talking about? The
Yeah.
black guy that has the shotgun. He
He-
basically he's referenced right at the beginning. He's driving the truck that says like God saves or something,
Yep.
and you hear him like talking through the intercom. I never knew that. I was like, this guy's just some random guy that they added in there. No, but he's like referenced right at the beginning, so it's not like this random person. He's referenced at the beginning, so I correlated that recently, and I thought that was pretty cool.
So, is this technically I go first? Who deserves to die? We're gonna play that game, and you guys
Okay.
are gonna be able to play at home. We're gonna set up polls. We're gonna get you guys
Please
to respond.
I love interaction with you guys. Please interact all the times. I love interacting
So-
with you guys.
I think I know your pick. I think you know my
Okay.
pick.
Okay.
So
I'll let you go first.
I'll go
And-
first.
Yes, and give me your reasoning behind your pick, and I will give you the reasoning behind my pick, and I will let the audience duke it out between us.
Chris Hardwick, the guy who screams Dr. Satan, who's yelling and obnoxious, and he's kind of annoying Captain Spaulding. If anything, Captain Spaulding was like, you know what? These are the people I'm going to push down these rabbit holes.
Yes, we're talking about Jerry, right?
Yeah.
Yes, Jerry.
So
Yeah, okay.
he basically is the domino effect. Not only did he mess with not Dr. Satan, Captain Spaulding, he goes and mess with Mama Firefly at the
He was
dinner
pushing
scene
it with her, man.
And then after they got the car, like the tire popped because of a shotgun, they thought it just blew out. He's like, I aired up the tire, but I didn't put it in the car. And it's like, come on, dude. You are the worst.
Yep.
Um,
Oh, and over top of that, when they're being buried, I mean, I get that he's a little hurt and scalped and wounded, but come on, your friend is screaming at you to wake your ass up and get the hell out of here, and he's just like, I'm like, come on, man. You were her last hope, and you just got grabbed up in the water by these random, like, descent people.
no, yeah, for me, he kind of deserved it, and I think I know your pick, so go ahead and say yours.
Bitch face.
Yeah,
110% bitch face. I fucking hate her. Like, from the moment she wakes up to the moment she dies, I can't stand her. I feel like she didn't help her situation at all throughout the whole entire way. If anything, she just hurt her situation personally because, I mean, obviously once she has the dunce cap on, I think everybody's going to react the way she reacts. But up until that point, you're in a situation where anything can happen. These people are fucking crazy. Don't fucking push it and be a little fucking biatch. That's just going to end up with you with knives in your chest dressed as a bunny, as we know.
Yeah.
But
So-
that's mine.
Do you have any reasons why mine shouldn't be voted number one?
I would say the only thing, because I do agree with you to an extent with that one, he kind of did get them into it a little bit. But if I had to defend myself in any way for argument's sake, I think he was one of those people that he kind of didn't have the highest IQ in the sense. He was like the funny guy of the friend group, He wasn't there to be smart. He was there to be the fun of the matter, and he was there to push them to do things that they wouldn't traditionally do. So,
And then
as
there
much
you
as
go.
it's his fault, I mean, that's my retort.
And here's my retort to yours. Like,
Okay.
that's my man. I don't want that on my man. Of course, I'm going to act up a bit. Like, this is bullshit. Like, right in
win,
front of
bro.
me.
You win.
So,
You win.
that's my closing retort.
You win, you little bastard.
All right. This is another thing you guys can play in the comments. Blind rank, so you can be honest. I'm not going to watch you guys do your blind rank. This is a themed list. Do you want to guess the theme? Or no, don't guess the theme. We're gonna go
Okay.
through the list, and then whenever you think you have the theme, you're gonna say.
Billy
it out loud.
trolled me so hard with these games, guys. You have no idea.
Let's start with this. Interview with the Vampire.
5.
Really?
Don't get me wrong, I don't hate that film. It's just one, I'm not big on vampires, so I feel like vampire films don't go as far as I want my horror films to. Though I will say that is a very beautiful film, and I love Kirsten Dunst's performance.
I love vampire movies, so if you guys are about to click off, don't, because I'm a defender.
No. I love Vamp. Have you ever seen Vamp? We should do Vamp one of these times if you haven't.
Is that the Jim Carrey movie?
Mm-mm.
I'll have to look at it.
Yeah, Vamp is an 80s classic. Go ahead.
Lost Boys.
That would have been 5. 4.
Jesus.
I'm sorry, I haven't seen it since I was a kid. As I said, vampires aren't my forte, though I don't hate them.
So,
I mean, I have vampire teeth, custom vampire teeth, so I can't say anything.
Van Helsing.
Oh, God. I've dug myself into a grave here. There's another 5. We'll go with 3.
Oh, my God.
Billy hates me so goddamn much right now.
This is like an absolute... This is an abomination. Okay.
This is a travesty.
Twilight.
Twilight? 1 and 2. Okay. We would never have a follower if I put that at number 1. That's going to 2. Though I wouldn't put that at number 1 anyway.
I think the number 1 movie you told me in the past you hated. The last one is 1. This is a pretty good number 1, and a lot of people would agree, except for you. It's Bram Stoker's Dracula, the 1992 with Keanu Reeves and.
I put that at. Oh God, I can't.
This list was really different from the last time we played it, and I think you know the topic. What do you know? What the topic is?
Vampires, my dear, vampires.
Yeah.
Yeah, though my Dory brain, I didn't remember any of them, so this is a fresh new game for me. But yeah, there is nothing wrong with Bram Stoker's Dracula other than the fact that I don't find the ending to be satisfying to me. Like, for sitting there for like 3 hours, the ending isn't satisfying enough for me. That's what loses me for it, because the ending feels like very abrupt and very just like, okay, that was it. I just sat there for three hours for this. That's just my opinion. Don't get me wrong. I still watch it every couple years because it's a very pretty film.
I watched it like a year or two ago. It wasn't that. It was as soon as I moved into this house. I remember everything but the ending right now. I watched this movie multiple times, but for me, the ending is kind of forgettable. But the style, the way the acting is, a lot of people hate Keanu Reeves' acting. I thought it was all right. Bill.
Oh, I thought he did great. I love Winona Ryder in this part. I think that she was a great pick as
was
an actress.
Amazing, especially
She did great.
Yeah. So she.
I really wish they do a film on the wives or daughters of Dracula. Either two, like the wives of Dracula or the daughters of Dracula, because I know we've had like the old ones that didn't really dive into like the deviousness or the sexualness of it. But I think like A24. Dracula's Wives film, that would be like my favorite vampire movie of all time. Can you imagine that? But go ahead.
So if we redid this list, how would you do this list?
Okay, so we got Bram Stoker's Twilight, Lost Boys, and what were the other two?
Van Helsing and Interview with the Vampire.
Okay, Interview, Twilight, Lost Boys, Van Helsing, and Bram Stoker's. Or no, I'm sorry, I misspoke the last two. Van Helsing is last, and Bram Stoker's Dracula is fourth. Sorry. So, yeah.
All right. I just like knowing what really would have been yours. So it might help you later on in life when you start playing these games.
I can't with these. I get so confused sometimes. I'm like, what are you saying again, Billy? I'm sorry.
I know.
I swear to God. That's why baby's my spirit animal. I love her to death, but I can be very ditzy at times.
Well, sometimes you have to set the bar. Like when you start doing like highs at the very beginning or lows, that's when you're like, oh man, did I do it right? Like that's where you struggle.
See, this is where he trolls me, y'all, because he has a feeling of where I'm going to place these films. So he tries to put the number ones like right at the end, so I leave that slot
I have
open.
a pre-made list, and the thing is the last 50 times she did this, it always ends up like this. So even if I put the number one at the very beginning,
It's so bad, though. It's so bad. I'm so bad at this game.
but yeah, this episode was a really fun one.
It was. Oh, thank you,
really
Italian,
informative.
thank you so much for introducing this. This is so cool. I have so much respect for him as a creator.
We also have a special guest for next week.
Oh my god! Like we go from one crazy person to the next crazy person. Where's my bubbles? Where's my bubbles? Where's my bubble?
Yeah, go crazy. Yeah. Look at you. Anyways, Rob Loves Horror 93 is going to be with us, and we're going to talk about a slasher classic.
Oh my god, yes. One of the best of all time.
What was it called? Holler? Shout?
Screamers?
Yeah, it might be Screamers. Oh, that's right. Wes Craven's New Nightmare. We're going to talk about that. I'm just kidding.
You even have me going, Billy. And we're talking about Scream, ladies and gentlemen.
Yes, we'll be talking
Scream
about
on.
Screams, and then the week after that, Lilith picked Brown Eye, and it's going to... I'm sorry, Starry Eyes?
Starry Eyes. Thank you.
I don't know. I think I like Brown Eyes better.
I can't with you. I can't with you. I mean, to each their own. To each their own.
Well, that's it for episode 2. Thank you guys for joining us. Don't forget to vote.
Bye, guys, gals, non-binary pals. Please leave a comment, vote, do all the good things. Thank you for coming and joining us again. I had so much fun. Thank you, Billy. Thank you to everybody out there for joining us. This was a blast. I think we got a really good episode out of it. How about you, Billy?
I think it's one of the better ones, and this is only episode 2.
So here we go. Never filmed once before for any reason.
Not at all. We didn't re-record this. See ya.
Never. Bye.